get ready, tune in, unwind. It's the Smoke World Podcast. It's time to talk about what's happening, baby. So run, don't crawl. It's the Smoke World Podcast. It's time to think. So go ahead and get yourself a smooth drink. It's the Smoke World Podcast. Light up your cigar, put your feet up, and don't go too far. So tune in weekly in your car, at home, or on your phone, and listen in the Smoke World Podcast, hosted by Stone.
What's up, folks? Welcome to another episode of Smoke World. I'm your host, Stone, so go grab that stick. Go grab a glass, whatever you're drinking. Let's sit back and have that conversation. We're live at the lounge. Live, so you're going to hear all kind of stuff going on. We got people smoking. Got my man VJ in the building. Sketches is in the building. Sketches! VJ, what's up, brother? What's good,
up,
man?
What up, though? Vinny Jones
man.
here.
You know, we're sitting here talking, and unfortunately, we got a guy. I'm not going to say unfortunate. That's the wrong word. They call him the governor. He's got the TV up real loud watching some documentary. But we're not going to get too deep into that. Sketches is giving out dope. He's doing his normal thing. Sketches, what's up, man? You all right?
I'm good, man. Just got back from DR. HIV went up to 85,000. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 85,000.
HIV?
All these people going to, everybody's going to DR, just wrap up. 85,000 cases.
I'm saying, how did that come on your radar? Like, how did that happen?
Because I've been to DR this weekend.
But how
85,000 cases of what?
HIV.
Ooh.
So how did that come on his radar? I need to know. Like,
So just wrap up.
did you look that up, or that was just?
I was there.
I understand, but I don't. I'll go places I don't know how many HIV cases is going
We
on.
talk about in the Cigar Lounge. I talk with a bunch of old Dominicans, and they go, "Yo, blah blah blah, you know, we know." That's not what I talk.
That's how you sound.
And they said, 85,000 cases of HIV.
Okay,
But they
VJ,
blame it on the Haitians.
No, that's okay.
They blame it on the Haitians.
That's the definite reason why you should take sand to the beach.
That's what I did. I took sand to the beach. I took sand to the beach.
You gotta wrap it up.
Or take something with you.
You ain't got to worry about that, right? You take something with you, you ain't got to worry about it.
I ain't taking it back with me. Just be
Now you go to Sasua, that's something different. But again, still HIV is HIV. I don't know how that came on his radar though. So interesting. VJ, let's talk some cigar stuff. What am I smoking on today? I got the Camacho. I think I had the Ecuador Blue Label. What you got there, brother?
The diamond. Still got the diamond.
Okay. Still have the diamond. He said he still has the diamond.
Still has the diamond.
From days ago. The same diamond.
And you
Still
said you were
smoking the
going to
diamond.
throw that out?
I was going, because I put in the car, I'll smoke it later.
Nah, bro.
And I slept all day yesterday.
That's
so,
disrespectful.
So here it is right here. Still good. Still
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay,
But don't ever think about throwing it out.
so let me get this right.
I'm about to light something.
You had your cigar sitting, it's been like 19 degrees, 5 degrees out, sitting in your car
How
for 2
long-
days.
2 days.
Okay.
So
I do it a lot.
let me ask you a
I
question.
do it a lot.
You know we can hear you. You know you're being recorded right
You
now.
know I do it a lot.
Do you smoke for taste, though? Let me ask you that.
I smoke for emotions. It all depends on how my emotions is what I
that's
smoke about.
I like that. Very good question.
That's a good
I
question.
smoke on emotions, so it all
Because
depends how I'm
most
feeling.
people don't know, like, when you put a cigar out and it's out for a couple days, and if you don't cut it right, then you're going to have all that old smoke coming through the cigar. So that's why I asked you if you smoke for taste. There's a lot of people that don't smoke for taste.
Well, I let it burn out.
There's a few different reasons why
and
people
then,
smoke cigars.
And then when I get back in the car, like, oh fuck, so I'll clip it.
When I used to be a rep, I used to literally give people cigars because I got samples all the time. But I had people that would tell me, because it was a Robusto size cigar, oh, this too small. You know what I used to tell them? Can I cuss?
Yes, you could
Can you
cuss.
cuss?
Give me that motherfucker back there.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? I'm giving you a free cigar.
And they tell you too small.
Yeah.
That's what your girl need to tell you. That ain't what I need to tell you.
But it was
You got the
funny.
wrong guy.
I'm giving you a free cigar, and you gonna tell me
It's too small.
So
they gonna look at it like this.
Like it.
Give me that motherfucker.
Yeah, rat
Give me back.
Underappreciated.
Is there rules in regards to how much rep can give away in the state or lounge or whatever?
VJ, don't answer that, sir. Do not answer that question. The question was in the back, are there rules to what reps can give out? We're not going to answer that. He's a setup guy. We don't know who he is, who's working for right now. I don't like how he looked over here and asked that question when you said, back in the day you gave out cigars. He
So,
happened to ask,
I
sir.
I can answer it though.
Yeah, you can answer. Go ahead. You know what I mean?
So
I'll be your counsel.
I was a rep between 2014 and roughly 2018. Now, back in the day, there was no stipulations on what you could give out. Then the FDA actually got into it, our business, and they started to regulate what we could give out.
Trump gonna change that. Trump gonna change that.
Well, so basically, I
Governor.
could go into a cigar lounge at any time, and per the owner or manager's permission, I could give out what I want to give out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so,
Right.
so you got to ask permission.
Yeah,
Well, you got, yeah.
It's,
yeah, you gotta ask.
Respect for the lounge.
So you got it's respect to the lounge owner or manager who's running it, because so like when I used to rep for Ashton, and I'm not plugging them motherfuckers, but I used to rep for them, and literally they would send me 6 to 7 boxes of cigars a month to pass out for samples, right? So I would go into certain lounges, and I was in the deep south. So I had Georgia, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, and I had Memphis inside of Tennessee. So I would go in and I would say, hey, do you mind if I pass out some cigars? So most of the shop owners would say, if they buy 2 or 3, yeah, you can give them.
Absolutely.
So I had to respect that. Wow. Because you got a lot of lounge lizards, and I had a lot of groupies that were actually men, groupies, that want to kiss my ass for a free cigar. Yeah. That was funny as shit. But you had a lot of lounge lizards that were sitting there, and hopefully the rep would come in and give them a free cigar. And they might only had bought a Tatiana or some bullshit like that.
oh, come on. Are you serious?
No, I'm not bullshit. So, you know, as a owner or a manager, you get slick to that, and you say, nah, don't give them shit unless they buying something. So that's how that is.
Areas, brother. You was down in the South.
Yeah.
Okay, how's that? How's the culture down there in those places?
So it was kind of weird because I'm from Detroit,
Okay.
and you know, you
You're
got
lying.
what up, though?
You're lying.
Straight
You're
out.
lying.
But you know, you got a black man coming down to the deep south, and I really and truly was concerned about how that was going to work out.
Yes, we are too.
I was about to ask him that.
I'm gonna tell you.
Please
So,
do, please.
so you know, I had my CCW from Michigan, and it actually reciprocated in all of those states that I was at. So
You have to stop right there. Everybody doesn't know what a CCW is.
concealed carry.
That means he had licensed to carry a firearm,
And-
a gun,
and-
a hammer, that
right,
heat.
Right. And if I didn't have my wallet, I had my pistol. So I was actually very, very surprised. Because I'm not going to shit on the South, because I was very surprised that I really didn't have a bunch of issues down there.
Okay.
One, because I was the candy man. You know what I'm saying? I'm giving out free cigars, so everybody loves me.
That and the culture, the whole cigar culture.
It wasn't the culture.
It wasn't the culture.
It wasn't the culture. So it's a lot. It's really blue collar down there. But I was in.
So you giving something away.
They appreciate it.
They appreciate that.
I don't care what color you are.
They didn't give a fuck. They didn't give a fuck.
Wow.
So just to give you an example, I used to do events at a cigar lounge in Arkansas. I would be the only black person in the whole fucking lounge. But I worked for Ashton, so you know we wore suits and shit. And I would have people literally come up to me, like, "Can I get a picture with you?" I'm like, you know. So I was a little celebrity up in there, and it was the truth. But the only time I actually saw a situation that got a little bit on the hairy side, I was going, you know, Waze. Yeah, so Waze will take you off on small roads and
right
shit.
through a chicken coop.
I'm on this 2-lane road, you know, and I fucked around, stopped at a like an Arby's or some shit. So I'm standing in there. I got my suit jacket off, but I got on my shirt and tie. So I'm looking respectable. You know what I'm saying? And I'm standing in this restaurant, and this big old white boy is standing there looking at me like this.
Where you going?
So I'm looking back at this motherfucker like, whatever this gonna happen, I'm shooting first, and we can talk about this shit later. And as you can see, I keep my shit on me. So that was the only thing. Like everything
ain't say
else,
nothing. He just
he
gave
didn't
you
say
dirty
shit.
look.
He was just
Okay.
looking at me like, "Fuck you doing here?"
Yeah, you look
I'm
lost.
gonna get something to eat, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So that's all that was. But other than that, it really was no big deals. And I attributed it to the fact that I was giving out free shit, you know.
Now, did you notice outside of the giving out the free shit how they treated other folks? Or maybe you didn't see any other folks that looked like you.
No, I did. Because, like I said.
What were their interactions, you think?
It was cool.
It was good?
Yeah, because like I said, you still are in the South, so there's still a lot of black people, you know. But I went to a lot of lounges that didn't have any black people. And I'm going to tell you something that might surprise you and it might not. So there was a lounge in Georgia. It was
What
called,
part of Georgia?
I'm going to tell you, it was called the Cigar Shop. SHOPPE. And it was in Cummings, Georgia.
Is that like
Cummings is just outside of Atlanta.
Yeah.
Cummings is in a county that ran black folks.
This is the governor speaking in the background.
Mr. Ryan.
wow?
He know exactly what he's talking about. So listen, I go in there for my first visit, and the shop owner told me, you know this is a sundown city, right?
Oh, wow. First thing he
Now,
said
I'm
to
from
you.
Detroit. I don't know what the fuck he talking about. I said, what you mean?
You didn't belong down south.
I ain't belong there.
Georgia?
In Georgia.
They say that shit today?
In the year
It
of
all
2000.
depends on what time of the year did you
Oh,
go?
I'm telling you.
What time?
2015.
2015.
2015.
I'm talking about what time of the day it is.
It don't matter.
4 o'clock could be.
So let me
the
hold
sun go
on.
down.
Slow down. Slow down. I'm telling this story.
Security.
The sun go down.
Listen.
5 o'clock sometimes.
And what that means is you black, you better not be around here when the sun
In
goes
Jersey.
down.
I know exactly what it means.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm explaining to you. I did all my visits in the morning, but he told me that this was a sundown city. I didn't know what that meant, so he explained it to me. When the sun go down, have your black ass up out of here.
Right.
Literally, right?
No, now have your ass where you can't be seen on the street.
Up out of there. That's exactly what he was saying.
That part.
And they literally still, in that city,
Right.
had trees. Yeah, well, I want to say downtown is what I heard, that they still had trees where they hung people. In 2015.
Shit.
Yeah.
Okay, sir, I went to public school. Let me
Yeah.
understand this correctly. They have trees. Okay, trees.
That
Okay,
they
everybody got
used
trees.
to hang
Okay, they used to.
black people.
You need a tree.
Of course, but I'm saying there's a lot of trees.
And some rope. And some rope.
I'm pretty sure there's trees around here. If we go back in time, that's
This
still
ain't a
sitting there.
sundown. This ain't a sundown.
I understand, but I'll just make sure I understand it correctly.
Trees here, but
Okay,
I
I
was
was okay.
physically and
I got
verbally
you.
told.
Okay, I thought
that
maybe
they
it was
had
something you
trees.
saw. Okay,
And
gotcha.
different uses for them.
Yeah, right. Besides shade
Yeah, besides shade.
and firewood. Oh wow. Okay. So the culture, not bad. Sounds like not too bad. Now
No.
comparing it to up here,
Right.
being where you're at now.
So I'll tell people this that don't know this. Cigars are, I call them territorial to a degree. So like you may have a brand in the Deep South that works very, very well and sells very well that people up here may not have never heard of, and vice versa.
Yes.
Right. The culture down there, though, in certain areas like Georgia, especially in the Atlanta metro area, is very, very, it's thriving well.
Okay.
Especially with women, right? So you have certain areas where women are true cigar smokers. And I always say Atlanta was one, the DMV area, you know, Maryland, Virginia, D.C., right in that area, Houston, areas like that where you have true women cigar smokers. A lot of them.
Okay. Good.
Florida too, because that's cigar.
When you
capital.
say true cigar smokers,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that?
So there are some in this area, but a lot of people will go to a cigar lounge and they'll see 6, 7 women and say, "Oh, it's a whole lot of women that smoke cigar." Per capita is really not. I've traveled a lot of different places, so per capita is really not. But when I say true cigar smokers, I'm talking about women that smoke exactly or better than what you smoke, and they'll drink you under the fucking table, bourbon and scotch and rum and all of that good shit. It's not a lot per capita that really smoke. it's a lot of females, unfortunately, that are in it for what they can get out of it. Because they know this is a hobby that a lot of people that got money can actually sustain.
It's like you're ringing around the rosy.
Yeah, so they'll go in there, they'll go into the lounges and sit and chill, try to look cute, have their titties out, and they try to see what they're going to get.
Come on, VJ.
Yeah, I'm telling you the truth.
Okay.
So,
Preach.
but there are real, and I appreciate women who know what they're doing when it comes to cigars. And you ain't got to go in there like, oh yeah, let me show you the sweet stuff here when they tell you to kiss their ass because they're like, I don't smoke that bullshit anyway. But there are just only certain places, and I'm just talking about the places I've been to. There may be more.
Now, do you think that's a mistake? I'm glad you mentioned that. Do you think that's a mistake for? 1 second. I'm sorry. Here we go. I got to plug it in. Do you think that's a mistake on managers or owners' behalf that as soon as a woman comes and you take them to the sweet place?
That's a mistake 100%.
Okay, because I've been noticing talking to some of the sisters of the Leaf, they hate that.
Yeah, they hate
Yeah.
It's the fact that they make an
100%.
assumption that because they're female, they smoke something sweet.
You should never judge a book by its cover. So if you see a female coming in, you should never ever say that. You should always qualify anybody that comes into the
Absolutely.
cigar lounge. Anybody, male or female. You have men that'll come in there and they'll be timid if they see a bunch of guys sitting around and they don't know the landscape and they'll walk in there. That's why I always used to say, if you own a cigar lounge or you work in the cigar lounge, you should have some sort of garb that has the
Identify you
shops.
as a worker.
Because if you have the wrong type of setup, and what I mean by that is you walking in the front door of a cigar lounge and they got a whole bunch of people sitting there. A lot of women won't come in. They can look out from the door and say, I'm not about to walk through all these motherfuckers,
They said that.
And unfortunately, you have a lot of, like I say, timid men that will say the same thing. Like, I'm not about to walk through these guys, So you lose money that way. Because if they got to come in there and try to figure out who's working, that's the issue.
Okay, because I was going to go there and ask that question as a person who's running the lounge now.
And I used to own a lounge, too.
So owning the lounge, what would make it more sister friendly? Because I hear that a lot from the sisters of the Leaf. They come in,
That's a big complaint.
they don't feel like now there's a lot of sisters that smoke, but they're not coming to the lounge on a regular basis unless there's an event. It's like, oh, where y'all at? Like, I know y'all smoke, but I don't ever see y'all unless it's some type of special event. How come you're not on a regular basis coming to the lounge?
So I'm going to explain it to you, right? So I'm going to start by saying this, and then I'm going to get into it. It's a lot of people who think just because they smoke cigars, they can own a cigar lounge.
And cigar lines.
And cigar lounge.
Yes, that's a whole
That's a whole different story. That's a whole different story. But I'm getting it to the point where how you need to set your lounge up when you first open your lounge.
Okay. Pay attention now.
If you have the space to do it, okay, you should have your accessories and your, we call it cash wrap, but your POS system in the front of the building.
Okay.
As soon as you walk in.
The POS system.
POS system, accessories,
We talking to
point of sale,
Okay, yeah.
and your humidor and all of that stuff should be at the front of the building if you can do it that way.
Okay.
Reason being, they ain't got to walk through all of those guys. They walk in, they can purchase everything they want, and they ain't got to walk through the crowd of guys.
Okay.
That makes females, and as I was explaining, men who've never been in that lounge that may feel a little uncomfortable, great word.
Right.
They can come in, purchase, and they ain't got to worry about the fellas or the people.
riffraffs.
No, not even the riffraffs.
I know.
The consumers, because you got a lot of people, unfortunately, in the cigar lounge that have no couth. And
We got some here.
Yeah.
and they see a fine woman, they're like, "Oh, hey, how you doing?"
Dang, she got a fat ass.
They're not coming in there for
What's
that. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, if you have the opportunity to have your cigar lounge set up the correct way, it should be POS, accessories,
Point of sale.
point of sale,
Thank you, sir.
accessories, and your humidor up front. That will make anybody that's coming there to shop a whole lot more comfortable. It ain't always that way. You know, it depends on the size of your spot and the layout. But if you got a way to lay it out from the beginning, that's the way you should do it, honestly.
They was also complaining about the welcome. sometimes they will get in and no one says anything to them.
Listen, like I told you, I was a rep, so that was one thing that I would notice when I would go to places. And see, I always say, if you're trying to open a business like that, you got to do your research. So you got to go. And another thing I always said, you learn stuff when you go to these different places that you may want to incorporate in your own lounge.
Right.
But more importantly, you learn what not to do.
That part.
And a lot of people don't do their research.
I notice in Atlanta, because I go to Atlanta quite a bit, their cigar lounges are a lot bigger. And they do have the humidors in the back, but they're huge. Now, the price of cigars in Atlanta, I think, are a little more higher.
Location.
So it's not. It's
the other thing
tobacco
is,
tax.
They have
go.
a lot of people. They have a lot of females working there.
Exactly.
So that makes, in my opinion, females that come in there, they feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yes.
Because they see other females. In
Yeah.
But see, that's still not.
And they got, they have so many different spaces, so they have a lot of things going on, a whole bunch of TVs in there.
But you're 100% right. But that's not the norm.
Right.
I'm just talking about the norm. And the reason I say it's not the norm is because
Over here, they have cigar lounges, but like the one they got in Charlie Square, it's real small.
that's where I work.
Once you get
Watch it.
once you get 10, 15 people in there, you ain't got nowhere to sit. You still good.
No,
based
no,
on
no.
footprint.
You make a great point, but that's what I'm saying. That's the norm is not humongous like you see.
Old Golden Corrals and all that.
Yeah,
you know,
that's not
the
the
footprint
norm.
is not.
They're doing a whole bunch of different stuff in Atlanta, which is great.
I mean, and it's a lot of them. So you have a lot of different choices.
Yeah.
And they also got a lot of more people also.
Exactly.
They got a lot of cigar smoke.
A lot more cigar
Yeah, a lot
smoke.
There's a jazz club, and it sits in the same, I guess you would call it
Subdivision or strip mall.
Right.
Where they had a big jazz club. Next door, they got this big, huge cigar lounge.
Right.
So, you know what I mean? They would come out the jazz club, probably.
Right. And
Exactly.
yeah.
It was like overflow,
Right.
everything going on. But I mean, over there, and then the women over there, you know, they Atlanta women are a little bit more bolder than any other women.
They are.
You know what I mean?
We're not gonna say what my man said they got.
Yeah.
He said if they're women.
Not that kind of hammer either.
So what was the question? I'm sorry. We
Well, you was talking about the footprint. You was going into the
So the
footprint as far as
footprint.
making, as far as individuals. We ain't gonna say
And
just
welcome them inside
just
when they
women.
come. Good morning, good
So
afternoon.
like you were saying, right? So I noticed that a lot, and I try to make sure whenever somebody comes into Sikar, where I work now, I greet them. How can I help you? What can I get for you? Something like that, because that's the biggest issue when women and those people that come in that are uncomfortable. If they don't know who's working there, they will literally turn around. That's money you could be losing. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're not wearing a logoed shirt or something like that, and they have to say who's working here because you didn't agree to them, they'll turn around and leave.
And then go inside the humidor and say, hey, you want these jobbers?
Yeah, I don't do that. I don't do that.
Smart man.
I don't do that.
But it happens. It happens. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
happens all the time.
Yeah.
I can't find you, and now you want me to take this infused cigar.
Right.
So I'll buy it, but I'm not coming back.
Yep.
And that's what they were saying. They would go in and would never come back.
Or they say, or the acids.
Or the acid.
That's the one thing I see them take women to the most. It's like acid cigars, though.
What's going on is
Okay.
a few people asking some questions, so you might not be able to hear what they're asking.
Because they like the flavor. They have the smoke.
He wasn't the original
Dramatic.
LJ. They, you know what I mean, like Shane Park was the spot.
Yeah.
I remember going downtown in Detroit. When I first used to go
Let's get
down
back
there,
to the cigar.
Detroit was kind of like, it looked like Beirut. Torn up. Then Kwame came in, and Kwame changed that old scenery downtown.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
I got a question.
They locked him down.
What's your capacity in cigar right now? Your capacity that
In
you can
Sikar?
hold, that you can hold.
In Sikar? Well, upstairs probably about 25
25.
or so. Then we have a basement. It used to be for members. I got rid of that. It's an overflow now. But if you're a member and you want to,
Be exclusive. I
yeah,
guess,
if you
in the
have like
sense of-
a card party or a party you want to throw down there, if you're a member, we don't charge you to rent it, but I do charge a cleanup fee if you got
Right.
people down there that's gonna fuck it up.
Where's this at?
Sikar.
Cigar.
I run Sikar. I'm the general manager there in Charlie Square.
the one you was talking about, sir.
Caddy corner active.
Yeah.
Did you know this is downstairs?
So non-members don't have access to that
This is downstairs.
bottom portion of
Yeah,
the
they
lounge.
do.
They do.
That's why I
Okay.
say this is an overflow now. Like,
Overflow,
If we
okay.
get too
They
crowded
had when I
upstairs,
first went over there.
We had it. It's an overflow.
they
So
heard.
you gotta
They
have
probably
25.
had it, but
It's an overflow.
back in the day, it used to just be for members.
Is that
Never been a white dude.
Is that the one where the supermarket is?
Yeah.
Across from
Yeah.
that, yeah.
You score with
Yeah,
Big
oh, Mike.
Mike.
Oh, yeah.
See,
okay.
unfortunately, you had people there
Saying stuff that it wasn't.
that
really
used to
true.
say they owned it. They didn't own it.
Oh,
They didn't have that 1% of that motherfucker. Never owned it.
So getting back to the 25, the capacity.
I know the brother used to be at the bartender.
Ain't none of them
Yeah.
owned it. It was
So
an
the-
Indian owned.
The capacity of the 25, to keep that 25 coming in, what do you have to do?
So I'm the general manager. I don't own it,
Right.
right?
But what do you do to
I'm
keep that
gonna explain
25?
to you.
Right.
Such a that. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, there's a lot of a few people say they used to own it. So
20 people own this joint.
Yeah. So
Everybody's owner.
I always say this about cigar lounges. You should never worry about competition. Competition is supposed to make you better, right? So what I mean by that is, if you give good service and you make a situation to the point where people want to come and feel comfortable there, it should thrive. Because competition should make you better. I ain't never worried about the cigar lounge down the street or around the corner, because I'm going to provide you good service. So the only way to make it better, you have to have ownership that's willing to do good marketing. You know what I'm saying? And put it out there for the masses. But part of the problem that you may have in certain lounges, such as Sikar, it's kind of small. You know what I'm saying? So it's hard to have events there. Like I've heard in the past they've had events, but hopefully it's during the summertime because you got people standing outside.
Right.
Basement is blown out. But when you, depending on the size of your establishment, it can be detrimental to you. But here's another thing that people don't realize. I always say you have to qualify what your establishment is.
I need to check this out.
So you're either a cigar lounge that sells liquor or a bar that sells cigars. And depending on what you actually are will determine how you run the place.
Wait. Let's just go back.
Go-
It should never be alcohol if it's a cigar lounge. That's what I don't understand. It should be your main focus should be cigar, and the alcohol is the enhancement
Now,
to the cigar.
Think about
I
how
thought.
many places actually do that.
Talk about the rule here in Delaware. Well, that's not talk about what the rule is, but I think we know what the rule is. But now let's just talk about what you do.
But no. I'm saying I'm not gonna speak no names on no places.
No, yeah.
But think
I
about
ain't
the
got no
places
problem
you
doing
go in. Think about the places you go in this area, not just Wilmington, but in the Delaware area.
Right.
What
And
is
see-
session? A bar that sells cigars or a cigar place that sells liquor?
See, he's
What is that?
speaking names. I ain't speaking
Oh,
names.
I ain't want to do that.
What do you say?
I ain't want to say names. Who trying
That's all right. You can say names. It's okay. It's okay.
Session.
Some ain't got no contracts with them.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's open. I mean, speaking of marketing, we'll talk about that later. But
What?
You don't think alcohol is needed in a cigar lounge?
It's an
That's not what we said. That's not what we said.
that's not the
what we
question
said.
on the table.
enhancement.
Yeah, it is.
If it's a true cigar lounge,
Yeah.
I think you only got like one flight.
So now,
that's what I'm saying.
so let's define, if we can,
Let's define. Let's define.
if we can, we're going to try to get rid of cancer too while we add on the podcast.
Yeah, we gonna do that.
If we can define what a cigar lounge should look like, if they do have the bar, because again, it's enhancement. That's what I believe. So how do we really dictate between or say this is that or that is this?
So
That's a good question.
Well,
I know.
it depends on what register
Good question on that.
cashes out the most.
Well, let's look. I mean, okay. So now, food and alcohol. We already know that's. I mean, that profit on that is crazy.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that'd be a fair assessment. I understand what you're saying, but I don't know for a cigar lounge, would that be a fair assessment to say that which one has the most money at the end of the night?
So,
I mean,
and
am I wrong for asking that question?
When I personally spend more, when I go to cigar lounge, I spend more on alcohol and cigars.
Probably so, because you get the 2 cigars, and you're there for like 20 years. They don't want to leave, and you bring your own cigars. So you are going to be drinking more than I think you are purchasing. But I'm asking. I'm just my experience.
You came there for the good cigar, right?
But one cigar, you drink like 2 different drinks in one
But
cigar.
see, you still got to figure out what type of person you talk about.
Right.
He's not a true blue cigar guy.
Yes.
He smokes cigars.
He smokes cigars. Right.
But see, you might come in there, or I might go into a cigar lounge, and I'm there for the cigars. And I'm a drink while I'm there, but I might have 4 cigars and 2 drinks.
Right.
He
That's how I am.
might have 4 drinks and
That's
1
how I am.
cigar.
Gotcha.
But it all depends on the person. It all
I'm
depends on the
not
person.
going to drink more than I'm going to smoke.
But the way I qualify a cigar lounge is a place that emphasizes the cigar selection.
My bad.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
Now, at Sikar, we got a bar that will rival any fucking bar in the whole state of Delaware. Why you bullshit? We got a lot of good liquor.
Yes.
But where I think people fall short if they're opening a cigar lounge that sells liquor, they don't put enough emphasis on their humidor.
Right. Exactly.
See, people want to make it all comfortable and shit, but what's making you your money if you're a cigar lounge? It's just fucking cigars, right? So people don't think about, oh, well, if I'm starting from scratch and I got a shell of a business, I need to put a nice sized humidor in there because that's where my money's coming from.
Right. I'm cigar lounge. Key word, cigar lounge.
But one thing I can say about cigar is, like the cigar lounges I've been to, they have a way better liquor selection. They got a lot of top. Yeah, they got a lot of top level. Everything's like top level shit there. So it's more expensive. So you're going to spend more.
Expensive if it's such a cigar lounge.
Why the liquor is expensive? So we do something that most places don't do, and you may not know this. So I'm going to tell you. We do a 3-ounce pour. Most places you go, as far as bars or restaurants, are going to do 1.5 ounces to maybe 2 ounces.
Oh, damn.
Maybe 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces. We do a 3-ounce pour.
Okay.
So the prices are actually based on a 3-ounce pour, right? By the ounce.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I thought you all this time I thought you was hooking me up.
So no, it's a 3-ounce pour. But see now,
They like, I don't know you, man. We don't know you,
but they
man.
also freehand pour too. I don't freehand pour. It ain't my place. I'm gonna pour what the man asked me to pour. You asked me to pour 3 ounces. I'm gonna measure 3 ounces.
You watch the trip.
Yeah.
I thought I was getting a hookup.
All right, I want to go back.
You know you my man, but I'm gonna hook you up with 3 ounces on it. That's it.
All right, I want to go back to the cigar selection.
All right.
Now, based on your footprint, obviously, your humidor is going to be a certain size based on the size of your building. Again, we're not naming names,
Right.
except for me.
Right.
I said we're not naming names except for me. I'm naming names. So I know some cigar lounges here locally. We only can speak. We just speak locally right now.
Right.
That now, if we are going to speak, all right, we speak sessions. Let's look at that. Their footprint when it comes to cigars selection, top notch.
100%.
Top notch. Now we have another lounge, which is a smaller lounge, E Square.
Yes.
Their selection. Whoa. That's the only way we can kind of make this analytical comparison. That's what we're going to do. E Square, their selection is limited, very limited.
Okay.
Very, very limited,
Okay.
but they have a bar. So going back to that original footprint, as far as Ron's question was, at the end of the night, are your cigar sales
Higher than you.
compatible or comparable to your cigar selection sales. That place, I would say no,
Right.
not even close, because of their selection.
Right.
But I don't know if it's the fact that they just not interested in getting more brands in there, because I know personally I turned them on to several different brands that were happy to come there. We don't control that aspect, but going back to selection. So a lot of people go to these other cigar lounges, for example, E Square, to go there. You're limited on what you can pick. So you got to buy whatever you got to buy. You buy your two, but you're probably not smoking those because it's not something that you wanted to smoke.
Right.
And now you're just pretty much drinking.
Right.
And going back to Sikar, again, footprint.
Right.
Humidor's decent size. You only can get but so much, based on footprint.
Right.
And you have your alcohol. So in a perfect world, going, and if you want to give your secret out, you mentioned going back to starting a lounge. If you starting a lounge from scratch, in your perfect world, if you don't mind sharing, give us a little bit of that recipe. If you don't mind, you might say, Stone, I'm not giving that out for free. They got to pay me for that.
No. So if I had to really, in my perfect world,
In your perfect world, right?
have any of you guys been to Cigar Republic in Conchahawken?
Yes.
That's my next spot.
So if I could pick that place up and put it where I wanted to put it, and that would be my lounge, that's what I would do. Because it gives you a lot of different options. They got a very nice size humidor, nice bar. The ventilation system seems to be pretty nice. They have a conference room. They got everything that you need for anything you want to do. Secondly, I would say sessions. Because as I mentioned, if cigars is your thing, they got everything you want in there. I'm a cigar snob. I'll be honest, I ain't got no problem saying it.
Okay.
When I go in there, I'm like, oh, you know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Because I smoke a lot of different shit.
That
Key in
you
the
can't-
candy store.
That you can't get everywhere.
And the bar is
The
serviceable.
thing about it, once you open up and you set your humidors up, that's it. There's no redoing it and adding.
That's not necessary all the way true. So like if you got a nice size humidor.
What's a nice size humidor?
Hold on. I'm just saying. Say when you said when you set it up, that's it. That's not necessarily true. If you have a nice sized humidor, and all of a sudden your shelves end up you busting out the seams of your shelves, you can put like a little island in there, then you can start adding outside humidors. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I did at Sikar. I added a whole new humidor.
I saw
in there.
that. I saw that. Right.
So I mean, you can start to, but you want to have first impressions are lasting impressions. In a lot of business, first impressions are lasting. So if you walk into a place, and even if they got a big ass humidor, but they only got 17 boxes on the damn shelf, you can be like, yeah, this some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So it is like, but if you walk into a cigar, and I always laugh and say, if it's in the title, it should be what the fuck it says. So if you got something to say Sikar Cigar Lounge, you should have some cigars in there to pick from.
So with the Sikar, you expanded the humidor?
Yeah, so we got the one walk-in, and I built another humidor for higher end stuff.
You got two
Two humidors, two actual humidors, and then we got another stand-up humidor in there too, like a cabinet style.
One we eat and one we ever. See where you gonna buy?
You know what about?
No, it's
you know
two.
where the
It's two
bathroom's at?
exits. It's two entrances and exits.
You put one by the bathroom.
Patties, two.
By the bathroom.
Two entrances and exits.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Now, with your experience you're going around, right?
Sikar.
Where have you seen the
spot that a lot of
business being
homes.
the most profitable or most popular? The ones that have
Spot that
a bar or the ones that are pure lounges? Like, which ones seem to be doing better? In your
So a lot of that depends on demographics. If you're in a spot like I was talking to Mr. Ron, I drove to Greenwich, Connecticut, and if it's money in the area and people are willing to spend it, that's where you're gonna see profit. You know what I'm saying?
pure cigar lounge, not no bar.
That's exactly what that place was. They ain't had no liquor there, but a lot of it depends on where the money is.
Yeah.
It's all demographic.
Some high-end cigars, and
Yeah.
that's what they were doing. High-end cigars. They weren't doing no boutique stuff.
They don't
were
even
doing-
sell liquor. But a lot of it, like I said, it depends. Like when you're trying to open a cigar lounge, you got to do your research. And, you got to figure out if it's cigar smokers in that area, Because it ain't like buying, like people say, oh, well, this place is going to gentrify. But it ain't like buying a house where you hoping that your property value going to grow up. You opening a business up and waiting for people to come. You know what I'm saying? So you got to be somewhere where you know that you got cigar smokers there and they going to spend money.
Does it make sense that, so now does it make sense to have the liquor in Sikar because it's around the corner from a lot of bars and stuff, right?
Yeah, but that don't even matter either. If you are able to get a liquor license, you get a fucking liquor license. I don't care where you at. If you can get it,
money.
you get it, because that's money. The markup on liquor is way better than it is on cigars.
Okay, so for example, when we're sitting at a place, no alcohol, but the selection is great.
Right.
They got a great selection here. They got some coffee and got a nice group of guys in here today. So I do like that idea. The alcohol is always money. Food,
If you can get it.
yeah, food. Every state's different. They don't allow food
I ain't
and
even
smoke.
a big thing on food.
No, I'm
Go
just
ahead.
saying, but
Yeah.
some people
Go
have
ahead,
the food. I think it's a place up in maybe Reading. Is it Legacy? One of them sells food.
Go ahead with your question. I see what you mean.
Yeah, so now we're in the lounge, no alcohol,
Right,
but the selection is decent.
right,
But going back to the marketing,
right.
the location really will be great.
Location.
But if you don't have the proper marketing, folks don't know you exist. If people just think you're a lottery and cigarette spot, they're not going to come in there.
Right.
And that's just going back to your point of you building something in the area that you figure, okay, now I don't know how you would know really if cigar smokers were in their area. I'll ask you to elaborate a little bit. How would one even know that?
Like I said, you got to do your research.
I'm just out of curiosity. Yeah, how would one know?
So, say for instance, you're in an area where, and I always say, you don't want to be on top of another cigar lounge, but I don't worry about being near another cigar lounge because, like I said, competition should make you better.
Yes.
Right? But even if you did some, I don't know. I've never had a market research company, and I don't know how it all of it works. But if you could do something to find out some kind of way, I don't know if it's possible to find out if you have. Because I've had people ask me, "Oh yeah, you should put something up in the up by the beaches and shit."
Right, okay, right,
We
yeah, I
gotta
hear that.
travel this, we gotta travel that. But if you only hear 4 people saying that, you know what I'm saying? That don't mean.
That don't
yeah,
mean-
like you know, but you gotta find out where
Don't
people are.
Don't
Right.
at the same time, if you hit your profit margin, right? Sometimes that's what you want. You just want to get a profit and hit your profit margin, and then you just, I got what I want and I'm good.
So I'm gonna ask you this: if you had a company and your profit margin was $100,000 a year,
Right.
but you had an opportunity to make $200,000 a year, which one you gonna choose?
An opportunity or a risk?
Not a risk, but if you know that you can make $200,000 over here, but my profit margin is $100,000,
Right,
I can do it here.
but to make that to do that, I have to put in some more money and try to grab extra people. Some people don't want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, you can be the average Joe Schmo if you want to.
And I think that's what's happening.
I know people who open cigar lounges because they wanted to smoke with their buddies.
Oh yeah, a lot of them.
To me, it's a dumbass idea. To me, but that's my personal opinion. You know, I just, like I said, man, I know too many people because I've traveled around as a rep and meeting owners. I know too many people who open cigar lounges for the wrong reasons and had no clue of how it actually worked.
Understand this business. Like going back to us. How many times you sit down with cigar smokers and everybody want to have their own cigar line?
Man,
We go
listen.
up our own cigar lounge. Don't get me wrong. Great ideas come from cats sitting in the lounge.
Yes,
But if you're not doing any research, you're going to fuck yourself up.
bro, I'm gonna tell you right
Cigar line. Oh, we could have a nice cigar. No, like I said, 1 out of 20 or 30 may work.
now. May work.
May work. And there's some lines I know for a fact that's out there that's working. That was the same. Hey man, we should start our own cigar line, and they were successful with it. But that's not the norm.
So, like I said, we splitting hairs. Well, not splitting hairs, but we talk about two different things with a cigar line.
I'm just giving that whole idea of the
I got you,
concept.
I got you. But when I talk about cigar lounges, it's a very, very hard industry to
Yes.
really crack and do well in if you have no connections.
Oh, absolutely. It's definitely a network. connections and everything.
But I'm talking about professional connections
Yes.
in the industry.
Yes.
And that's where a lot of people fall short because they want to open a lounge, but if you have to buy through distributors, you're paying a premium for your cigars, and then if you're trying to make your real money, you got to charge more than what a lounge that had direct accounts would have to charge.
I think we know that lounge.
Markup, right?
Right. So
Markup.
yeah.
The old
Well,
markup.
but no, it's necessary markup
Right, yeah,
because
got
you
it,
don't
got
have
it, right.
Right. You don't have to connect
Right.
directly to
and
the
it's
distributor.
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that it's like I've actually reached out to people, black-owned lounges, because I want to see brothers do well, and offered my support, and they didn't reach out to me. So,
That's my whole point.
I mean, but it goes almost back to what he said. If you think you're doing good, then you're doing good. But
Yeah, I guess so.
you could be doing better. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And it ain't gonna cost you no more money. You just got to get out there and do your research, make connections. You got to be open to meeting people that you don't fucking know and talk to them.
And ideas.
Going to the cigar, going to the trade shows. You know what I'm saying? Making these connections. People don't do it.
I don't know why that is.
I don't know.
I don't know either, but you should never get into it. Step your foot. That's like stepping into the deep end of the pool and you don't know how to fucking swim.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I can do it. Nah. You know.
So you think it's strange to have a cigar lounge and say you could bring alcohol in there and find out that you can't?
Oh, wow. Wow. You going there. Oh,
Or-
wow. Oh, wow. He just went there. Yeah, there is
All
a
of-
lounge.
all-
Yeah, there is a lounge. You might not know this, VJ.
I don't know what y'all talking about.
VJ,
but
you might not know this.
I don't.
I'm going to say this. I'm not going to mention name on that one. I'll be nice. Lounge been open for many years. BYOB. Come to find out, through this local legislation or whatever, hey guys, we don't really have no license for no BYB here. And I know y'all been open almost a decade,
Yeah.
but we don't really allow BYOB. Whoa, that was your whole selling point, the BYOB. So how you don't do your research?
Well,
Yeah.
okay.
No, proceed. This governor speaking. Proceed, sir. In the corner, NBC News.
All I'm saying is that if you're talking about tobacco fields,
No, they not BYOB. They never been BYOB.
but there was a time when people thought they were.
Well, okay. If you want to go there, we can go there. We can go there, Governor. NBC News, we can go
That's
there.
where it turned up. There wasn't no cabaret license.
Right. They
did not have
being
a
the
cabaret.
ownership,
So
did
they
not.
had-
They didn't say promote it that way, but they allowed it.
Yeah,
But they
allowed
didn't know. They didn't do their research. Again, that's what going back to VJ's point, that you got to do your research. You go open up a business, you need to know what the hell you're doing. And in the beginning, there was permission granted
Yeah.
to individuals. Hey, your thing, you can
Bring
bring
your
alcohol in. But I'm talking about this is a business that's been going on for years, almost a decade. And all of a
It was
sudden,
put on flyers and advertised.
I don't
Yeah,
know
that's
about
bad.
that.
That's
Right.
bad business.
Advertised.
That's bad business.
I don't know about that. I would not.
what do you mean you don't know
This
about
is a whole nother place y'all
We-
talking
yeah, we're not talking about this place. This place was very short. Short-lived.
You're banking your business off of
BYOB.
PYO.
And then all of a sudden, you didn't do research, obviously, because now, many years later, someone's
sheriff
coming to
on-
telling you saying,
sheriff
well,
on-
we don't
on call
actually
you.
have no license for that.
So for me personally, and like I said, I'm only speaking for me. When I had my lounge in Richmond, I only allowed BYOB to my members that I trusted. And we had to red cup it because we didn't have a BYOB
Gotcha.
law, and I knew that because I did my research.
Gotcha.
But I'm not a big proponent of BYOB personally because you incur more risks by letting people drink in your establishment, and they leave, and if they get caught pulled over or some shit, and they say, "Oh yeah, I just came from Vinny's spot," now the heat is on me. So I'm not a big proponent of BYOB. As far as I'm concerned, fuck that.
And if they have an accident, it's even worse.
That's my whole point. So I'm not a big proponent of it personally. You would never see me advertise some shit like that if I didn't have a liquor license. It would only be the people that I trusted.
Right, close to the breast.
You know what I'm saying? Very, very close to the breast. So, but see, you got places in PA, I know, that allow it, And I
'cause
think
the
they
state
can do it.
Now that's crazy. Now I'm glad you mentioned this. The state allows this place to do it per se, but the county.
Okay.
So so I guess there could be some misconception there based on the fact that I'm in a state that allows BYOB, but I didn't do my research as far as this county. This county does not allow it. It sounds crazy, and that's something you may be able to fight.
Yeah.
But you have to get legal people and pay some money.
I'm not a big proponent of it, but
It
that's
is
just
what
my
it
personal
is.
opinion.
But he going back to what he said, that if you can get your license, get it right away.
100%, because it's good money in liquor. You know what I'm saying? But I know, in the state of Pennsylvania, they don't sell them anymore from the state.
Oh no, you got to
So
come.
you got to buy it,
right?
and it could cost you anywhere between $250,000 to $500,000
Yes.
just to buy one.
Yes.
But in Delaware, your probability of getting one is greater because they do still sell them, but it has to be under certain circumstances.
Yes.
From what I understand.
Yes, that is correct. That is correct. Well, look, man, we'll go hold you, bro. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, I gotta
man.
go open up.
So,
Cigar Lounge.
yeah. So now, is anything? I always ask my guests this. Anything that we didn't ask that you want folks to know? How can we support you? You know, what I mean, you got social media. You got Sikar right now. You're doing that.
Yeah.
Give us
So,
the location. Where's
I'm,
that at?
Vinny
Even
Jones.
though y'all didn't pay for this, but we're gonna talk about that later. Go ahead.
My Instagram is Vinny_629, and then we also have a Sikar page called Sikar Lounge DESIKAR Lounge LOUNGE for Delaware. That's our Instagram page. Vinny Jones _629 VINNY _629.
Location.
Location is 1624B, and that B is important because that whole corner, 1624 Delaware Avenue in Wilmington, Delaware. Under new management, Vinny Jones.
So you're not one of the owners?
I'm not one of the owners. The guy who was running it before claimed he was. He wasn't either. And it's under new management, a whole lot better management.
Yes, indeed.
So, no.
Trolley Square. It's in Trolley Square.
Yeah, I know it is.
Trolley
That's what
Square.
I'm telling you. It's live. Yeah, I hope you're listening. So we got new management,
That
better
part.
management. You're going to get charged the right price. Come through. Holla at your boy.
Yes, indeed, bro. Well, listen, VJ, we thank you, brother, for taking
I
your time,
appreciate you having me on.
smoking one, and having this conversation. Sketches, how can he follow you, bro? I mean, you got things going on. You got some new products. You was giving out some chapstick today. I don't know what's going on. Talk to us.
You know, that's right. I'm in the business of keeping people alive. So, www.rockandrodproductions.com. You go out to the website. I'm now on TikTok. TikTok shop.
Same name?
Yep. Same thing. TikTok shop. I only got one thing on there, but every day I'm putting a different product up there. So tomorrow I'm putting up mouthwash. So tomorrow we're gonna have mouthwash up there.
Good stuff. All right. That's what's up. Smoke World Podcast, the IG. SmokeWorldPodcast.com is the website. Again, I'm on TikTok too, but I didn't realize I'm on TikTok at Smoke World Pod, I think 50. Something along those lines. Yeah, and Facebook, Smoke World Podcast is the Facebook, folks. We appreciate y'all listening. Take care. We see you guys on the other side. Peace out.
It's the Smoke World Podcast. It's time to talk about what's happening, baby. So run, don't cry.